So first I'm going to show the layout a little bit, how to navigate through the site. Then I'll show you how to screen renters. And then I will walk through a credit report and a rental application and kind of show you how to analyze and read that. So I just logged in to the new Zumper Pro here. As you can see, there's the properties, renters, and payment tabs right here. I'm on the properties tab. You can add a new property. They'll get listed here. Currently I have these 2 unlisted properties. Here on the left-hand side, you have your account settings. So if you select this, you can edit your profile, things like your name and email, update your public account, so you can add a picture or information about your agency. You can also revert back to the old Zumper Pro. I suggest using the new layout as it's more mobile friendly and just kind of a better and easier layout to use. So if you see the old Zumper Pro layout, an easy way to go to the new one is to kind of click on Rent Payments here, which will bring you to the Payments tab here. Great. So for the properties, I'm going to click on my property here, the 1802 Guff. Once you select it, there's a few things you can do. You can publish your listing by clicking the toggle here. You can see how many people were interested. This is something that was live more than a month ago. You can edit the property, preview it. You can also promote. So when you create a listing, not only do you want a great description and great photos that is going to kind of help generate more leads, but something that helps is the lease terms here. It's going to help set expectations. So besides the rent and the property size, you can put in certain terms like you must earn at least 3x the rent and monthly income. If you have a small pet, they have to be under 25 pounds. I require a deposit of first month in security. And then also there will be a $30 charge for the application fee. This is going to help weed out any tenant who may not fit the bill and may be potentially low quality and not a good fit. So I'm going to go over here under renters. I'm going to select all as my listing was live more than 30 days ago. And here I can see all 9 of my leads and the 2 applicants who I started the application process with. So once you start getting interested tenant, they're going to start looking like this. So it says interested and it's highlighted in gray. So I'm going to click on Tony here. And by clicking send request, it will then request both the credit report as well as the rental application. But before you do that, I suggest you reach out and qualify them yourself. So you can either do it via email or over the phone. I suggest over the phone as you kind of get a better idea of who they are and they're more likely to respond. And questions that you may ask is, what is your income? Do you have any pets? Have you ever been evicted in the past? Important things like this that can help you understand whether they are of quality and if they're a good fit for your apartment. But let's say Tony is, and so you send the request. After you do that, his name will highlight in blue, like this account here, and it'll say requested, and they're both highlighted in blue. And you can see here when I requested that. So I requested the credit report in mid-January and the rental application at the end of December. I kind of did it separately. And let's say a lot of time went by and they did not respond. You can request it again and it will send an email to this potential tenant. But after they fill it out, it will be highlighted in green and it will say applied. And for example, let's say that they filled out the credit report and shared it, but not the rental application. Then this will be in green, the credit report, and the rental application will then be in blue as it wasn't completed yet. And you can see here when it was received and you can view them. I'll give you a quick peek. I'm going to walk through both a credit report and rental application, but I'll give you a general idea of what that looks like. So once you hit view, you can then see what is their personal information, driver's license, Social Security. Will this match their credit report? That's important to see. Where did they live in the past? You can then contact their landlord. How were they as a tenant? Would you lease to them again? Were they tidy? Did they pay on time? Really great qualifying questions to ask. But whatever you want it to be. Occupation history, again, right? You can see how much they made in salary and if they're still employed. I'll walk through this a little bit later. And again, you kind of just see all the details here. Wonderful. Before I walk through a credit report and rental application, I do want to point out one more thing. Here there is copy apply link. So let's say you have potential tenants who are not in Zumper. Perhaps they're on Craigslist or on Zillow or elsewhere. You could then screen them via Zumper. So I'll say I want to send them a credit report and rental application link. So I can copy this link. It's copied to my clipboard. And you can either send that to them via email, you can post that on a site, or you could even text that to them. So what that looks like is if I would do Control V, it'll bring them to this page here to apply now and to kind of start that process and then eventually share it. Wonderful. So now I'm going to get to the screening and how to read a credit report and then eventually a rent application. So looking at the credit report here, we are partnered with TransUnion. First thing that you see here for Marilyn is her resident score. So this is out of 850. 650 is a great score. And over here, you see the score factors. This is kind of like an abstract or a summary and kind of gives you the rundown of what TransUnion thinks about their credit report. So they have too many inquiries, too many derogatory accounts. By looking at this, they all seem very tame. In fact, 650 is a good score, and it kind of shows it here. I mean, there's nothing like fraud or eviction, criminal history. I mean, there's no serious red flags. Scrolling down, you can see what their address is. Does this match the rental application? This goes down to their profile summary. Here you can look at their payment history. So any credit cards that they've had, car payments, any type of loans will be shown here. So you can see, did they pay on time, month to month? When it's green, it means that they paid on time, rather than it being 30 days, 60, 90, or 120 days late. So by looking at Marilyn here, it seems like she pays all of her bills on time. So it looks like she'll be a great tenant. There won't be any late payments from her, and that's a pretty good indicator. Once you get past this, you're going to get to her criminal background. And it looks like that she's clean, right? She has no criminal record. She's not on the most wanted. She's not a sex offender or on the terrorist list. And actually, TransUnion actually came out with a figure recently that said anywhere between 20 and 30% of people who fill out a credit report have some type of criminal background. Might be minor, might be major, but it's definitely something to keep in mind, and one of the reasons why doing a credit check is very important. And then lastly, and definitely not least, is the eviction. Marilyn has no evictions in her past. This is fantastic. Evicting someone takes a lot of time and money. I think on average it's about $3,500 in 4 weeks of your time. No landlord wants that. So that's how you go through a credit report. For the renter application, kind of similar to what I was saying before. Up top, you see the personal information. Does it match what I saw on the credit report? The residence history, again, is going to be very, very important. The number one thing you want to do here is contact their past landlord. And again, ask them qualifying questions. How were they as a tenant? Would you lease to them again? Were there any issues? I mean, you name it, any type of qualifying questions. That will help you get a better understanding of the tenant. Similarly here with the occupation history, you can see how much are they making a month and if they are employed. So you can call their manager. Hey, is Johnny Renter really employed at Twitter? Does he have that job title? Is he legitimate? And then you can also see, do they have enough money or make enough income to pay for the rent? So the rule of thumb is you don't want the rent to be more than 30% of what they are earning on a monthly basis. So he is earning $8,000 a month. So if the rent was $2,000, that's great. Even if he was making $6,000 and it was 30%, that's standard and that's fine. But let's say the rent is 50%, 60%, 80%. That's a bit of a red flag, and that's something that you should definitely ask about and look into. Going down, you see a little bit additional information. What is their bank account? Any extra balance and money they may have. Give you a better understanding. And then lastly, a few more questions about have they ever filed for bankruptcy? Do they smoke? And other occupants. If they list another occupant, let's say they're moving in with a significant other and they are listed here, you'd want to screen them as well. So definitely make sure to take that into account. And that is how you navigate Zumper, do a screening, and go through the rental application and credit report.